Hello, fourth graders. This is Mr. Christofferson, and today I want to show you how to multiply fractions. Um, so I'm going to be using a couple of different pictures and a couple of different strategies to help illustrate multiplying fractions. So I'm going to start with a fraction model, okay, or you could think about using fraction strips, and I'm also going to be using a number line. And then I have some workspace down below to show you how to multiply fractions. So here, the first example that I'm going to be showing you is the equation 1/4 times 4. Okay, and this is illustrated in this picture here. I can see that I have 1/4 of a whole shaded in 4 different times. So here I had 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. And we know, just like in traditional addition, right, multiplication is this idea of repeated addition. You have the same value over and over and over again. Okay, like if you had 2 plus 2 plus 2, another way of writing that would be 2 times 3. That same idea is true with fractions. We have the same value repeated over and over and over again. So 1/4 times 4. And if you remember from when we were adding fractions, when we have the same denominator, right, so they all have 4 in the denominator, we know our denominator does not change. And then we just add the numerators. 1/4, so 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 4. Okay, so I can see this idea of repeated addition. 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is equal to 4/4, or it's equal to 1 whole. But I want to show you what that looks like using a number line. So if I started at 0 here and I added 1/4, there's one jump, then another fourth, and another fourth, and another fourth. So I had 1/4 4 times, and I landed on 1 whole, or I landed on 4/4. And we know that whenever the numerator is the same as the denominator, it's equal to 1 whole. Again, if you were to think about using fraction models or using a picture, I'm just going to focus on this square here. So here I have 1/4 shaded in. And now I'm going to pretend like I picked up this 1/4 and moved it over to this space here. And same thing over here. I'm going to pick it up and I'll place it in this empty fourth. Now I have 3/4 shaded in. And if I picked up this last fourth and moved it over here and shaded it in, you could see that all of these fourths put together filled up 1 whole. Okay? So when it comes to multiplying fractions, today, when we first start with just kind of intro to multiplying fractions, you're going to be multiplying a unit fraction. So that's when the denominator is 1. So we could call this a unit fraction. Okay, because the numerator is 1, I might have said denominator a moment ago. When the numerator is 1, by a whole number. So we have 1/4 times 4. We can always put 1 under a whole number and it does not change the value. So this was saying times 4, or times 4 wholes. And if we put a 1 in the denominator, it's not changing the value. It's saying 4 wholes. And when we multiply fractions, we multiply the numerator times the numerator. So 1 times 4 is 4. And we multiply the denominator times the denominator. 4 times 1 is 4. Either way, we're getting 4/4, which is also the same as when we did our repeated addition model. So I want to show you another example of this. Let's pretend instead of having 1/4 shaded in each time, we'll do 2/4. So my repeated addition equation would be 2/4 plus 2/4 plus 2/4 plus 2/4. Again, the denominators are the same, so we know it's going to be 4 in the denominator. And that's telling us the size of these pieces is not changing. Okay, it's the quantity or the amount of these pieces that we have. And then we can add our numerators together. So 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So if we add all of these fourths together, we would have a total of 8 fourths. And I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We had 8 fourths. Now on a number line, it might look like this. I'm starting at 0. I had one group of 2/4, another group of 2/4, another group of 2/4, and a final group of 2/4, landing on 2 wholes, which is also the same as 8 fourths. Again, if I were to use that idea of kind of like picking up these fractions and filling in the empty space, let's pretend I took these 2 fourths and I put them in this column here. So there's 1 and there's 2. And same idea over here. If I could pick up these 2 fourths and move them and have them join with this hole, there's 1/4 and 2/4. So I've kind of crossed these out. I've moved those in my imagination, and I can see that I have one hole filled in and a second hole filled in. And so if we go back to our idea of multiplying fractions, here's 2/4 times 4. I know I can always put 1 in the denominator and not change the value. Numerator times numerator, 2 times 4 is 8. Denominator times denominator, 4 times 1 is 4. So we have 8 fourths using multiplication, 8 fourths on a number line, 8 fourths with a fraction model. You have 2 IXL lessons today. They're introducing to the concept of multiplying fractions. Your teachers will be reaching out and reviewing these concepts in small groups or in class meetings. And as always, please let us know if you have any questions. Good luck today and keep up the great work.